been struggling recently with distraction. In all the miraculous noise of modern life, I find it so easy to lose track of what's really important. And so I decided to pay a spiritual visit to Henry David Thoreau. Something about his experiment in the 1840s, living in a cabin by Walden Pond for 2 years and 2 days, still feels deeply relevant to me. Thoreau didn't have a smartphone or social media, but he was wrestling with the same demon we are. The collision between modern life and our humanity. Thoreau put 3 faces on this struggle: the railroad, the clock, and the telegraph.
After the last video on the beautiful life, thought I had it all figured out. I'd have beauty as my North Star, and just like that, everything else would follow. But I forgot about the internet. I may live in a beautiful place surrounded by nature, but what about the Wheel of Time and Wordle? Sure, I want to go for hikes and go to beautiful places, but I also want to watch people I'll never meet eat food on YouTube. That reminds me that I need to make another video, I need to make more money, that I'm getting older, I've wasted my life. It's a whole trap. In Walden, Thoreau talks about the Telegraph, or as I like to call it, the X formerly known as Twitter of the 19th century. And our Henry David, he was always great for a smarmy line, and he sure as hell didn't miss his opportunity here. We are in great haste to construct a magnetic telegraph from Maine to Texas. But Maine and Texas, it may be, have nothing important to communicate. We are eager to tunnel under the Atlantic and bring the old world some weeks nearer to the new. But perchance the first news that will leak through into the broad, flapping American ear will be that the Princess Adelaide has the whooping cough. Classic Henry David. Then, as now, people were falling out with their neighbours over some nonsense someone neither of them will ever meet said about something neither of them have any experience about. Humans are strange creatures.
Recently, I've been burning through my past. Stole letters and cards and stuff from university and travelling. Yes, I'm sure it symbolises something, but we're not going to talk about that in this episode. But during this temporal self-immolation, I came across this, which is my entrance letter to the British universities when I was 18, and I learned something interesting. My favourite philosopher at the time wasn't Nietzsche or Camus, as I would have thought, but old Henry David. And so I thought it'd be worth revisiting him now in the hopes that he can help me with my current struggles. And so I dug out this old thing, which is a copy of Walden from the 19th century actually, which is really cool. And it has this cool picture of Walden Pond in it, which is pretty awesome. I didn't get far into it before I came across this line, which kicked me right into crisis. The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. What is called resignation is confirmed desperation.
stereotyped but unconscious despair is concealed even under what are called the games and amusements of mankind. There is no play in them, for this comes after work. There's a lot of different Thoreaus wandering in the wild today. The one that I fell in love with was the one who wrote the essay on civil disobedience, the essay about non-violent resistance that inspired Gandhi and Martin Luther King so much. This is the Thoreau who was a radical abolitionist and was part of the Underground Railroad, helping runaway slaves escape into Canada.
Unlike the more popular version, what I call the Into the Wild Thoreau, my Thoreau didn't go to Walden to escape from the modern world. He didn't hate it. In fact, he had quite a lot of positive things to say about it, and he embraced a lot of sides of modern life. He was a fan of free markets, and he set up his own pencil-making business with his father and his brother. And as much as he expressed doubts about the railroad, he also expressed awe. Walden wasn't about escaping the modern world, but about rebelling against the dark sides of industrial life's miracles. The elements of modern life that lead us into lives of quiet desperation. Common misconception that Thoreau's living in the cabin was about isolation, but in reality, he was only a short walk from town, and you'd often find him there catching up on the local gossip or in there to do his errands. He'd have dinner with family and friends multiple times a week. He often had visitors up at the cabin, and he even gave talks at the local lyceum where, as Ralph Waldo Emerson said, the people would laugh until they cried. Henry David was not a recluse. He was a very social boy. What he did get at the cabin was distance. When you're swept up in the middle of a problem, you're just trying to deal with it. You're trying to get through it. You don't have the time or space to philosophically muse on it. Gavin gave Thoreau enough distance that he could get a good measure of the modern world that in his day was just emerging. See you later, lad.
What you doing?
This is my Thoreau now. It's the Thoreau who's trying to find the right balance with modern life. Running away isn't the answer. But being in the middle of it, you end up too busy. It's about connection rather than busyness and distraction.
That's what I find myself struggling with now, how to strike that balance. I don't want to live without the village gossip, without my family and my friends, but do I need to know every little thing certain politicians do? Sure, we can all agree that I'd be right to live without celebrity gossip and influencer culture, but what about natural disasters, forest fires and earthquakes in far-off places? Or what about wars in Eastern Europe or the Middle East? How much of that stuff is Princess Adelaide's whooping cough? I don't think it's black or white, but I do think that 21st century life makes it seem more demanding and in your face than it really is.
I guess this can all be boiled down to one simple thing. What Thoreau is really saying, to put it in language a 21st century kid can understand, is this: go touch grass. But since he didn't have the phrase touch grass, he had to be more long-winded and epic about it.
Here's his 19th century way of saying it. I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life and see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not, when I came to die, discover that I had not lived. I wanted to live deep and suck out all the marrow of life. To live so sturdily and Spartan-like as to put rout to all that was not life. There's a deeper lesson I've been taking from Thoreau this time around. In the conclusion to Walden, he talks about the purpose of human life. Once we have the different forms of warmth, clothing, shelter, food and fire, what else do we want? What do you do when the basic needs have been met? Get a bigger house? Spend money on more expensive food? I mean, this is what most of us do. We want more, that's what it is to be human. But more of what? Thoreau cuts to the deeper question. What is it all for? It's a question Karl Marx was wrestling with at the same time in Europe, but where Marx's preferred metaphor was the caterpillar turning into the butterfly, Thoreau's was about the tree, was about the roots of human nature and the fruits of human nature. Why has man rooted himself thus firmly in the earth, but that he may rise in the same proportion into the heavens above? For the nobler plants are valued for the fruit they bear at last in the air and light, far from the ground. For Thoreau, there's a vertical dimension to human life. Carl Jung would frame this in terms of soul or spirit. It's what we expand into after our basic needs are met. It's what we're craving, what we're thirsting for in the modern world. It's not the tangible silver bullet I was searching for when I started out, but if I've learned anything from Thoreau along this journey, it's that these things don't come easy. You have to rebel, you have to fight for what you believe in.